Speaking of immigration, by the way, we've got a quota. ICE has only been arresting like 300, 400 people a day because ICE only has so many people and they can only do so much so fast. So what if we just quadrupled that? What if we just did more, you know? I bet this won't lead to a bunch of people getting needlessly arrested and then like turned out of local county jail cells 6 hours later because ICE was just trying to hit a quota. We love our quotas, don't we? We know they're so effective for incentivizing good behavior. ICE has been all over Chicago this week. I've heard. Look at how grim this is, man. First 100 days. Immigration crackdown!
Tonight we take you on patrol with federal agents as they begin to enforce President Trump's new mass deportation policy. Correspondent Bill Malugin has exclusive access and some amazing images. He reports tonight from Boston.
Exclusive access from a Fox News reporter. That's interesting. So in other words, ICE crews are deliberately getting like propaganda camera teams from the one news agency they know is going to completely side with them. To follow them around. That's good.
We're going to be targeting some extremely violent offenders today.
The White House is reacting tonight to Fox News.
Fascinating. Would you mind like saying what they are then? Because normally when police gear up to arrest somebody, they have like a specific list of charges against that person, you know? Did you see Dr. Phil followed ICE around in one of these operations? I did see that.
This is exclusive embed with ICE deportation officers in the sanctuary city of Boston.
I'm not going back to Haiti. You feel me?
During that embed, we witnessed ICE arresting this combative Haitian man, who
Combative?
ICE says is a gang member with 17 criminal convictions. And he had this to say.
Trump, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
Vice President J.D. Vance reacting to that today, writing on X, quote, "An illegal alien with 17 criminal convictions really hates President Trump for sending him back to Haiti."
Almost certainly, by the way, if that guy is thankful to Biden and to Obama, that guy was not, in fact, an illegal migrant, but was just a regular migrant. Remember, they think they're all illegal to him, you know? So if they're here on a legitimate program, that's not, like, the current administration isn't recognizing that.
He's grateful to Biden for letting him come here. I'm glad we're deporting him. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt also responding, posting on X, quote,
That had to be an actor. I mean, it could be, but honest to God, that could literally be a guy who's like 20 years old, and he came to America when he was 8 and has lived in America this whole time, and they're deporting him now. Like, they're going after, like, everyone, you know?
quote, "Bye-bye."
Bye-bye.
Looks like we got movement, target vehicle coming out.
Fox News witnessed ICE make
Like
a
how they called
handful
him
of arrests
combative
of
and he didn't
other
do anything in the
egregious
clip.
criminal aliens. They include this MS-13 gang member wanted for aggravated murder in El Salvador, with an Interpol red notice out for his arrest. This Brazilian illegal...
Remember what I said about how they're not going to deport all the undocumented people, but they are going to do a highly publicized series of raids at the beginning of the administration? Remember? Remember what I said? They're going to go after the easy ones first. A lot of people that they arrest and deport are going to be criminals, are going to be dangerous. There's literally millions of them. That's just a statistical guarantee that some of them will be. And they're going to bring, and they brought Fox News along. They brought Dr. Phil along. They're getting all this attention in the beginning, and they're going to do everything they can to desperately prevent any public attention being drawn to stuff like them going into schools, them taking, like, you know, little girls away or whatever, or like moms, you know, like anything that looks more sympathetic. They're going to try their best to keep you from seeing that. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the people they're deporting, they're probably going after a lot of the criminals first, but we know not all of them. Remember that veteran in New Jersey who got arrested? They didn't believe his veteran credentials and they kept him in jail for the whole day. York? Yeah, they don't give a shit. They've got a quota.
Alien, also with an Interpol red notice out for his arrest for armed robbery. This Salvadoran man arrested locally for rape and released by a sanctuary jurisdiction.
Señor, ¿cómo se llama?
This Dominican man charged locally.
Also, I hope this goes without saying, I would really not trust anything Fox News has to say about any of these people. This is a white supremacist organization that is doing deliberate propaganda for the new administration. They will obviously say anybody that they arrest is bad. I'm not necessarily even saying they're wrong. I'm just saying don't trust them, you know?
With assault with a deadly weapon, a box cutter, and heroin trafficking. And this Guatemalan illegal alien, who ICE says is an active MS-13 gang member, facing local gun charges.
Cool.
Today was a good day. Today we took several significant public safety threats out of our communities. Unfortunately, a lot were released by sanctuary policies.
And Fox News is
It's just a very real and informed sentiment by an ICE member. Also, like as we all know, members of ICE are really well informed on municipal and state level policy, you know? They're definitely the people you would go to for that. That's why whenever I'm interested in learning more about like the criminalization of homelessness and which policies could best address it, I talk to a cop. They know a lot about that stuff.
learned after our embed with ICE Boston ended, they arrested 2 more targets, including this previously deported Honduran illegal alien, now charged with raping a victim while putting a gun in her mouth.
You shouldn't do that.
And this Haitian national, who ICE says first flew into the U.S. in 2023 as part of former President Biden's controversial migrant flights parole program. He is now charged with sexually assaulting a victim above age 14.
You shouldn't do that either.
Also new this evening, New York Attorney General Letitia James released...
Also, notice how these are charges, not convictions. Remember, the recent executive order now allowing them to deport people based on just charges. Like, if you're a migrant and you're accused of anything, they'll just list that, you know? Again, I'm not saying these fellas didn't do it. I'm just saying that the current administration, not executive order, was that what was that then? Am I blanking? Was that a Supreme Court ruling? What was the decision where they were like actually oh, I'm sorry, the Lincoln Riley bill. It all blurs together. So much has been happening so quickly. Yeah. No, Colombia caved in. They're using their own presidential plane to fly in deportees. That's not them caving in. The president of Colombia said that to begin with. He said he would take in deportees, just not on military planes. That he offered that in the very beginning. Is there even a difference now between bills, executive orders, and Supreme Court rulings? Well, law doesn't matter anymore, so meh.
It's a statement with 10 other state AGs declaring that state and local law enforcement cannot be commandeered for federal immigration enforcement.
We are not individuals who are the face of resistance. We are willing to work with the office of President Trump.
Wait a second, has Trump even signed the Lincoln Riley bill? I'm sorry, the first week or so of the administration has just blurred so much in my mind. Has he even signed it yet? Or are they just going ahead and using, like, charges as a pretext? He has not signed the bill? Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry. I fumbled that one like 4 times in a row. I mean, I stand by what I said, just in the matter of the technicalities. They're just going ahead and using charges as though they're convictions. Like, they're just running with that. How long before they arrest enough dangerous immigrants to balance out the 1,500 dangerous criminals Trump gave a blanket pardon to? You mean those bold patriots who were just protesting the results of an unfair election? Sorry, don't want to get banned by YouTube. Have to engage in good think, not wrong think.
And Brett, regarding that Haitian man you just saw screaming F Trump to our cameras and saying he's not going to go back to Haiti, Trump's border czar Tom Homan was on Fox this evening, and he responded to that man directly.
See, literally, remember what I said? They're going to get a bunch of highly publicized profile. They got an angry black man, and now it's getting responded to by J.D. Vance, the press secretary, and the border czar. Like, sorry, bye-bye. Like, what are you doing? You're trying to administrate, allegedly, the deportation of tens of millions of people, and you're out here like, sorry, get served, idiot. Soy fascism, yeah. Got to get that soundbite, yeah.
Directly telling him, quote, well, he's wrong. He's going back to Haiti. I can tell him that, end quote.
Okay.
Send it back to you.
Hey, Bill, there's a Border Patrol in California saying tonight that an American hiker was shot by suspected cartel members near the border yesterday. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, so this happened in Border Patrol's El Centro sector, kind of near the Jacumba area we've reported from before. I'm told by a DHS source, 2 suspected cartel gunmen armed with handguns were about 1,000 yards inside the U.S. when they confronted 2 hikers in the area, yelling at them in Spanish. The hikers didn't understand, so the cartel gunmen yelled, come, come. Well, the hikers feared that might be a kidnapping attempt, so they turned around and went the other way. The gunmen fired 2 warning shots in the air. The hikers still didn't turn around, so they ended up shooting at them. They hit one of the men in the leg. He's an American citizen. It was a through and through. He is expected to be okay. But Border Patrol is now increasing their patrols in the area. They've brought out their elite BORTAC unit, which is basically the SWAT team of Border Patrol. They also have marksmen in the area. They say they will be.
All right, well, I think you should not randomly shoot hikers, just to be clear on my
Be ready
on
to
my
confront those
moral
gunmen if they're
positions
seen.
there. I
More
clicked on the video
targets,
again. I clicked on the
including
video
this.
again. There we go. Just a little taste of the propaganda that we're going to be kind of like, you know, buffeted with nonstop. And keep in mind, remember, like, they're going to do these day by days where it's like, oh, today we picked up this violent criminal, but the goal here is to arrest 1,200 to 1,500 people daily. Are they all dangerous? No. They might try to space it out so they get like 2 or 3 like obvious bad people per day, at least in the opening months of the administration. And the rest of them, they're literally for 1,200 to 1,500, they're going to be like scattershot arresting people. You know, who cares how many of them get turned back out later? Whatever. We got a quota to fulfill, and they're going to be competing with each other. During the call, each ICE field office was told to aim for 75 arrests per day, and that management would be held responsible if the quotas were not reached, they said. The Post also reported that current and former ICE agents said they are concerned that the quotas will make it more likely that agents will, quote, engage in more indiscriminate enforcement tactics or face accusations of civil rights violations. That's fine. Well, whatever. It's just the fundamental constitutional rights endowed to everyone within this country. Don't forget the protections of law, the limits of the government's ability. It applies to non-citizens as well. Otherwise, like an immigrant who's lived in America on a green card for 10 years, and it's like, oh, sorry, troops can quarter in your house. Sorry, you have no freedom of speech. What? No, of course it doesn't work that way. It's the law of the land, not just the law for the citizens. That's stupid otherwise. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt repeatedly told the Post via an email that, quote, your story is false, but did not elaborate. Classic. Heard reports that you're instituting ICE arrest quotas. How do you respond? No, doesn't elaborate. I believe her. Imagine knocking on such a holly jolly door. Why do all of them have different naming on their... You'd think they would standardize that. Police, police, ICE, ICE, police. Really? Just, I don't know. Just looks stupid, I think. In an appearance on ABC's The Week, Homan said the number of immigration-related arrests would steadily increase as he continues Trump's mass deportation plans. We saw this. In sanctuary cities, Homan said, ICE is locked out of jails. That means instead of being able to safely apprehend targets already in custody before they are released back onto the streets, ICE agents must conduct enforcement operations in the community, increasing the risk of collateral arrests of illegal immigrants not charged with violent offenses, but who law enforcement find associating with criminal illegal immigrants and take into custody as well. Sorry, our violation of your civil rights is actually your fault for being in a sanctuary city. Oops. It's all playing out as I expect. Exactly as I expected. I don't even understand what that means. Basically, they're saying if local police won't cooperate with us, that means we're going to do a worse job and that's your fault. That's the gist of it. Let me take a look at some more of this. I'm interested in the way this propaganda be playing out.
Law enforcement from multiple federal agencies
This is ABC
converge
7.
on Chicago. New video tonight showing ICE and other federal agents knocking on doors and making arrests. ICE confirming, alongside multiple federal partners, they've started, quote, conducting enhanced targeted operations today in Chicago to enforce U.S. immigration law.
If you're in the country legally, it's not okay. It's not okay to violate laws of this country.
White House
I think looking
borders
like that isn't
Tom
okay,
Homan on
personally.
ABC's This Week, admitting there may be arrests of people with no criminal background, particularly in sanctuary cities.
Sanctuary cities lock us out of the jails. So instead of ICE being able to arrest the bad guy, the criminal alien, in the safety
bad
and security
guy.
of the jail, where the
The
officer's
bat.
safe, the alien's safe, and the public's safe, sanctuary cities release them back in the community.
New pictures released by the Drug Enforcement Agency show Homan and Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove alongside federal agents in Chicago. ICE says it's working with the FBI, ATF, DEA, Border Patrol, and U.S. Marshals Service. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson weighing in with
Also, what the f saying the law doesn't apply to non-citizens is Holocaust denial when you think about it? It is. It's the pretext of every genocide. Holocaust, all of them. Which is that, like, this is an external group that is, to which, like, the laws of society and the protections of society do not apply. Obviously, that's an insane position, which is why it's not true. Legally, it's not true. But Republicans believe it's true, and they act as though it's true.
a statement tonight, saying in part, there have been confirmed reports of ICE enforcement activity in Chicago today. Per city code, Chicago police were not involved in this immigration enforcement activity. On CNN today, Governor J.B. Pritzker said violent criminals who've been convicted and are undocumented should be deported. But he's afraid President Trump will cast a wider net with his long-promised mass deportations.
Now, what they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them?
Illinois Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth releasing a joint statement tonight saying in part, quote, "We stand with the immigrant community in Chicago and across the country, and our offices and caseworkers are ready to help those who are improperly caught up in these raids."
Who's the fat guy? Who is that bro is rotund? You guys really make me look bad when I have chat on the screen and you guys are like, yeah, I don't know who Governor Pritzker is, even though he's been on stream multiple times and I've talked about him. Like, you make me kind of look bad. So I'm just saying, like, maybe think a little bit, you know?
Well, staying on this top story, those ICE operations we just mentioned, they took place in multiple cities yesterday, and that includes Miami, Colorado, Los Angeles, with 956 people taken into custody. This was the largest number of arrests by the Trump administration in a single day. That brings the total number of arrests since the inauguration last week to more than 2,600.
Got to bring it up to 1,200
NBC
to
News
1,500.
correspondent Shaquille Brewster joins us now live from Chicago, where some of those raids have been taking place. Shaq, Chicago was really in the bullseye when we first learned about the potential of these raids. Ground us in the numbers here, because President Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, told NBC News that several people convicted of serious offenses.
How many Cubans that voted for Trump are they going to deport from Miami? None? Because if they voted, they're citizens. And also, Cubans aren't really an ethnic group that have arrived in large numbers as migrants, at least not recently.
Were apprehended over the weekend. Let's talk, but first, let's take a listen to more of what he told Gabe Gutierrez.
Any collateral arrests today?
I'm sure there's going to be. I think there's been at least a few. And again, that's just in a sanctuary city. If we can't get the bad guy in jail, we're going to go to the community and find him, which we're doing today. And when we find him, if they're with others that are here illegally, they're going to. I don't have a quota. My instruction to them, arrest as many as you can that are public safety threats. And if they're with somebody else illegally here, they're coming too.
So, Shaq, we've heard the promises, we've heard the threats, and now we're getting the numbers in. What does it actually look like from your vantage point on the ground in Chicago?
Well, one thing that you're hearing, Morgan, the Trump administration emphasizes that this is not just ICE, but a whole of government approach to these operations that you're seeing. So you, for example, look at Colorado and the arrest of some 50 people there. That was actually started by a DEA, a drug enforcement agency warrant. So what you're seeing is the scale of these roundups that are taking place. Here in Chicago, a source familiar is saying that there are 10 teams fanned across the city and the surrounding suburbs, each with 10 agents with each team that are going around and working through a list of criminals, in their words, that they are now trying to apprehend. And what this is also leading to is some concern in the city. You know, one thing that they're highlighting is that they are not avoiding what they call collateral arrests. So although they are looking for specific people, if they encounter people not on that list who are here in an unauthorized way, they will also bring them in and they can be subject to deportation. So you're seeing that take place.
And how do they find out if they're not here in an authorized way? By asking for papers, which many people don't have on them?
It's not just here in Chicago, but across the country, Morgan.
You know, Shaq, the question of dignity has come up a lot in watching these raids. And I know you've been doing reporting. I've been doing reporting even a few weeks back on the border, where a lot of these immigration advocacy groups have increased their efforts ultimately to just educate migrants about the law, because you're not guaranteed, for example, a lawyer like you would be in criminal court in this case. So they're trying to educate them. But what are you seeing in Chicago? What are these workshops ultimately doing? Do they have any power to protect people?
Yeah, and you know, the workshops are being advocated not just by the groups, but even city leaders. The mayor yesterday saying that it's important that immigrant communities know their rights when interacting with ICE. And you mentioned I attended a workshop yesterday that was held in a church on Chicago's South Side. I think you have some of the video playing.
Stuff like this is super important. Cops, even ICE, are often like vampires. If you know the rules that they operate by, you can, you can act a lot more freely or more confidently. Texas substitute teacher under investigation after allegedly asking ICE to deport students. provide the link in the text that you have. Otherwise, it's just confusing. But yeah, I saw that. Why would that put you under investigation, though? I saw that. Didn't they like tweet something like, please come here. There are many Spaniards. There are many people named Jesus. Please take them. I think he got doxxed over that. What a shame. Y'all should come to Fort Worth, Texas to Northside High School. I have many students who don't even speak English, and they are in the 10th to 11th grade. They have to communicate through their iPhone translator with me. Screenshots of the post read. The USC.gov should totally overhaul our school system in Texas too. Oh, I'm sure they will. The school district addressed the issue on Facebook. We take this issue very seriously and are conducting a thorough investigation to understand the circumstances and ensure appropriate actions are taken. Nice. As per district protocol, the employee will not be on campus during the investigation. Well, not the worst thing a Texas school district could do in response to stuff like this. There's no official language in the USA. Speak Spanish as much as you want. No. If you live in the US, you should probably speak English. Makes things easier. Especially if you're in school, man. I mean, you're in school, right? Most everyone in the country speaks English. If you learn to speak English, you're a much more productive member of society. Don't woke yourself into a goddamn oubliette. It's good to learn the language in the school that you're being taught in. That one friend who's too woke. Isn't this fascist? Navosh, it's based that there are entire blocks of New York City that only speak Chinese. You know, it's actually not, right? You know that actually, like, the inability or unwillingness for immigrant communities to learn English often, like, segregates them, denies them job opportunities, and keeps them locked in red-lined areas. Ghettos, where they can only interact with people who speak the language that they speak, would kind of prevents them from, like, engaging in any kind of self-determination. Like, just very basic, like, obviously, speaking the language of the society that you're in really helps you participate. Come on. I mean, yeah, but the kids are learning. They're going to school for a reason. Yeah. That's cool. I didn't say they shouldn't go to school. I said the opposite. I know I just like language diversity. You can have language diversity while also, like, trying to speak the language of the land that you're in, just for convenience sake. Obviously, the problem here is that these Texas school districts aren't providing enough resources for ESL students. Like, you're in Texas. What the f do you mean you don't have programs for ESL students? You insane? You're in Texas. My Texas schools had special ESL classes. Yeah, I know it happens.
Right there from this workshop where they taught immigrants that you have the right to remain silent. They went through saying that in English. They showed the differences between warrants. One, if it's signed by a judge, that requires then you to open the door for ICE. So it's a priority that you're hearing from many of these communities and many of these groups that they want to make sure people know the rights that they have when interacting with federal agents.
Important reporting there. Shaquille Brewster live on the ground in Chicago where those raids are.
I guess it's pretty discriminatory of me to say that Hispanic migrant students should learn English coming in, because my understanding, based on what I've heard on the teachers subreddit, is that native-born Americans also don't speak English in high school. Do you think people in Puerto Rico should also learn English? Yes. But I guess nobody is these days, so whatever.
Thank you. Across the U.S. and beyond.
Americans speak an average of 0.7 languages.
Borders. President Donald Trump is
That's
cracking
good.
down on illegal immigration.
Yeah, ICE reports nearly 1,000
What is
arrests
this?
in a single
11
day
alive? Coming across a little bit biased with the reporting here.
More than 500 detainees on Sunday. These numbers include arrests and detainees here in Metro Atlanta. 11 Alive's Liza Lucas is standing by as we learn more information on some of those local arrests. Liza, we're learning about operations from Atlanta even to Savannah.
Good morning, Ariana. Good morning, Aisha. And we should note that ICE is reporting these as, quote, targeted operations, as you mentioned, everywhere from Cartersville to Atlanta to Savannah. Now, we don't have metro-specific numbers yet in terms of those arrests, but as you mentioned, they are certainly adding up across the country. And a lot of these encounters, these arrests have been captured on camera, even shared on the social media pages of various agencies. And we want to point to...
I'm just very interested in the way this is all being handled. Colombia backs down on accepting deportees after Trump's tariff threats. Wow, CNN. Thank you for your impartial journalism for lying about Colombia's president's behavior. He said from the very beginning, don't use military planes.